We have a witness now who's joining us by phone. His name is Justin Hickens. He apparently was at the scene of the shooting. Justin, what did you see? What did you hear?
I was about 20 yards away on Charlie's left. I had gotten there probably just a few minutes before noon. There was thousands of people there.
Tonight, we're looking at some disturbing TikToks that will haunt you forever.
Okay guys, it is official. Charlie Kirk is dead. Donald Trump just confirmed on Truth Social moments ago saying...
As a doctor of 25 years, I admit there are times patients survive unsurvivable injuries. Take this case, 27-year-old, victim of an AK-47 injury at a fairly short distance, and it ended up sitting right between the carotid artery and jugular vein.
Welcome back, guys. Thank you to the channel members for support. The most disturbing part about these TikToks, it says around 70% of you guys are not subscribed, so make sure to smash that subscribe button. Also, like and hype the video up so it can get pushed to more people and we can grow the fam. Let's go. So apparently they're saying this is a new video of space. Isn't that crazy? Yo, to me it looks exactly like the Hollywood movies. But yeah, apparently this is the newest, most out of date, I guess you could say, picture of space. Looks pretty cool, I guess. Or it could just be fake. Let me know what you guys think about it. It's crazy that some people think this is Hollywood and some people think it's real. At the end of the day, you really would never know. Unless someone like exposes something.
This disturbing video shows what it's like being in purgatory.
I'm Wanda June, and today was going to be my birthday. But I was hit by an ice cream truck before I could have my party. I'm dead now, and I'm in heaven. You see, that's why my parents didn't pick up the cake at the bakery. Oh, I'm not mad at the ice cream truck driver. Even though he was drunk when he hit me. It didn't hurt much. It wasn't even as bad as the sting of a bumblebee. I'm really happy here. You know, I'm glad the driver was drunk. If he hadn't have been, I might never have got to heaven for years and years and years. I would have had to go to the high school first, and then to beauty college, and I would have had to get married and have babies and everything. Now I can just play and play and play. Everybody up here is happy. The animals, the dead soldiers, the people who went to the electric chair, and everything. Nobody's mad. We're all too busy playing shuffleboard. So if you think of killing anybody, don't worry about it. Just go right ahead and do it. Whoever you do it to should kiss you for doing it. Oh, the soldiers just love the shrapnel and the tanks and the bayonets. And the dum-dums that let them play shuffleboard all the time and drink beer.
That video was unironically really freaky. Like, am I tripping for that?
Okay guys, it is official. Charlie Kirk is dead. Donald Trump just confirmed on Truth Social moments ago saying the great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States better than Charlie. He was 31 years old and leaves behind a wife and 2 children. Buckle up. Things are about to get crazy.
I mean, this is very recent news, so like as the days go on and the weeks go on, we'll find out more information. But there's a video that leaked and he apparently got shot in the neck, and like it was bad because I saw the whole video. I can't put it on YouTube obviously because it's really bad, so if you want to see it yourself you can look it up. But he got shot in the neck and it just started like, yeah, it was bad, dude. At his rally, it was bad. Later in the video, we're going to see someone talk about it because they were there live, so that we have live phone recordings from people calling the police about the situation. We have a dude that explains like how you can actually survive getting shot in the neck. This is to come later in the video, so make sure to stick around.
What does human taste like?
I would say it has a sweetness of horse. Horse is a very sweet meat, but also some of the qualities of pork meat, and I would say that depends on the person. A very extremely lean person will taste less good than a person with a little body fat.
warning tonight from the NYPD and the FBI about increased threats against critical infrastructure here in the city. Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch says threats are typical this time of year around the UN General Assembly, Jewish high holidays, and 9/11.
We take all threats seriously, and we are working with our federal partners through our Joint Terrorism Task Force as we investigate. Out of an abundance of caution, we are surging resources, and you can expect to see an increased police presence at critical infrastructure locations.
The commissioner said the threats against infrastructure include bridges and tunnels connecting Queens and Manhattan. Police sources say that these specific threats are not related to the Israeli attack in Qatar.
Okay, everybody, you've probably heard the situation that happened in North Carolina. Say the name Irina Zarutska. Irina Zarutska was just riding public transit. By the way, she was a refugee from Ukraine, of all places, and she came to Charlotte, North Carolina. And a terrible person, well, you saw what happened. I can't describe it here on TikTok without some sort of community guideline being violated. But if you haven't seen the video, you absolutely should. This individual should not have been on the streets, 14 prior arrests. And it really makes you wonder, why are we putting up with this? Why are we allowing so many people that have committed these crimes to keep on being released? The magistrate judge continued to release this individual, and this is a horrific thing. You know, it's really interesting. The media was totally covering George Floyd, tens of thousands of articles, reconfigured and changed the entire American body politic. That when it came to Irina Zarutska, the entire media was quiet, silent. In fact, we forced them to cover the story. Why do you think that is? What was the difference between George Floyd and Irina Zarutska? Why did the left care so much about George Floyd and they couldn't care less about Irina Zarutska? What could the difference be? I wonder. Would love for you guys to leave some comments.
Yeah, so that was a dude that actually recently just got shot at his I don't know what he was having, maybe like a like he was having something like a press conference or something. He ended up getting shot and killed. I mean, he's a political figure, and you know what I'm saying, I don't think people should be getting killed over their opinions, in my opinion. He did say something like, what's the difference between that girl and George Floyd? And it's very crazy and ironic that he was commenting about a girl. This was in one of my previous videos this week about this girl that got stabbed in the neck on a train. She was just minding her own business, and out of nowhere some dude came behind her and just for no reason whatsoever. I'm gonna tag the video here, and this is the video that I showed the clip, and he was saying, what's the difference between that situation and George Floyd? Well, she's a white girl and George Floyd was a black dude, but I feel like George Floyd was more about police brutality compared to this, where it's like civil on civil crime, you know what I'm saying?
Okay guys, this is breaking news. It's happening right now, September the 10th, 2025. NASA are actually live as I speak, confirming after a year of scientific study that they can officially say there was once, and maybe still is, life on Mars. This is real, guys. It's possibly the biggest announcement ever to happen in the history of the planet. So don't keep your head in the sand about this. Check it out. I've got a little clip here that I want to show you.
Really is an exciting day today. NASA, what we do is we study the seemingly impossible. That's what we do every day at NASA Science. And NASA Science is undisputably the global authority in the search for life beyond our home planet. So last July, as Secretary Duffy eloquently described, NASA's Perseverance rover found a leopard-spotted rock at Mars. And scientists immediately knew. It was interesting, we hadn't seen anything like that before on Mars. And we talked about it last summer. The moment we found it, we put out the images for everybody to see and everybody to share in the joy of NASA science. And so they've done the analysis on these leopard spots, and we think they are potentially made by some sort of ancient life. This finding by our incredible Perseverance rover is the closest we've actually come to discovering ancient life on Mars. And if you can't tell, we're really excited about that.
I'm going to do a longer, more thorough video on this, more details emerge, but for the time being, I find this extremely exciting. I'm also questioning what this means with regards to the current times that we're living in. A lot to take in. What are your thoughts? Let me know.
I'd definitely say it's very interesting that they found some sort of like relic that potentially could be life on a different planet. That kind of makes you question, like, why is there no longer life on Mars? Like, what really happened? Dude, $100 billion in 1 hour? How do you make $100 billion in an hour? There's some people that's probably watching this video that makes between $15 to like $100 per hour. This dude just did $100 billion in 1 hour.
She locked her son inside the chicken coop when he was just a baby, and over the next 7 years, he was raised by the birds. He learned to move like them and make strange bird-like sounds instead of talking. And because he only ate chicken food, he didn't get enough vitamins, causing his bones to warp and bend. Even after he was rescued, he moved around like a chicken, and though he eventually learned English, his body never fully recovered.
Singapore has become the first country to classify turbulence as a major in-flight threat. This comes after last year during a Singapore Airlines flight operated by a 777, a 73-year-old died when the plane encountered clear air turbulence. As a result of that incident, as well as many others, the Civil Aviation Authority of Singapore has classified severe air turbulence as a, quote, state-level operational safety risk. This means it has the same risk classification as mid-air collisions as well as unauthorized incursions on the runway. Will other countries follow suit? I guess we'll find out.
Also breaking, at least 2 students were wounded in a shooting at a high school in Evergreen, Colorado. This is about 28 miles southwest of Denver. Our sister station there reports those 2 students were taken to a hospital in critical condition. Officials say the suspect is, quote, neutralized. They've not said anything more.
So this video is going to be released on 9/11. That currently happened on September 10th. Charlie Kirk also died September 10th. Back to back, so it was like 2 back to back, just like what is going on?
A mass shooting by a 13-year-old boy was prevented from happening by police last week in Washington state. Police raided his house after he had made threats to kill, finding everything ready to go to commit a mass shooting. Police say, based on his online posts, he had school shooter ideations. It was so risky that it was necessary for SWAT to take down the boy at his home, located in a suburban area of Parkland, Washington. At around 1 a.m. this past weekend, SWAT found a collection of 23 firearms, several boxes of ammunition, loaded magazines with school shooter writings on them, as well as clothing and writings typical to a mass shooting scenario. If the 13-year-old would have succeeded, it would have not been the first school shooting this year. Last month, 2 young children were killed in a church attached to a school, and more than a dozen people were wounded.
Police in Washington state say this is the arsenal of weapons found in the home of a 13-year-old boy they believe was planning a school massacre.
Every detective, every SWAT member that went into that home, 100% will say that we stopped a major mass shooting from happening.
The suspect appearing in court Monday, pleading not guilty to multiple felonies. In charging documents, prosecutors say the teen had written threats on social media, sharing photographs holding semi-automatic rifles.
He had everything packed and ready to go, and it likely was just a matter of time before he decided to cause havoc in our community.
Authorities say they found 23 weapons in the home, many of which were unsecured. And there were several handguns and homemade long guns that had been made using 3D printed parts known as ghost guns, a growing concern for law enforcement.
It's concerning to know how many of these guns are being made and whose hands they're going into.
According to police, the suspect was obsessed with school shooters, and the walls of his room were covered with drawings and pictures of past shootings. They say he also had a gas mask and a backpack full of ammunition, including several AR-style magazines, which had writings on them referencing mass shootings.
There's also so far no word on if his parents could potentially be charged for allegedly failing to secure all those weapons.
Dude, that was my first thought. I'm like, dude, a 13-year-old no way has a gun arsenal. Like, it's literally borderline impossible. Not only is he 13, he doesn't have his own house, he doesn't pay his own bills, he definitely doesn't have money for over 23 guns. They said a lot of them are 3D printed, which makes sense, but in my opinion, it's a lot to blame on the parents mostly.
We have a witness now who's joining us by phone. His name is Justin Hickens. He apparently was at the scene of the shooting. Justin, what did you see? What did you hear?
I was about 20 yards away on Charlie's left. I had gotten there probably just a few minutes before noon. There was thousands of people there. Unfortunately, there was no metal detectors. There was security by Charlie, but anybody could have shown up with whatever, unfortunately. And I happened to kind of maneuver my way down close on the side. And the first interaction probably took about 10 minutes. It was a religious-related exchange. And then there was someone who stepped up, ironically, coincidentally, who asked a question about mass shootings. And about 60 to 90 seconds in, we heard a big loud shot. I saw a bunch of blood come out of Charlie. I saw his body kind of kick back and go limp, and everybody dropped to the ground. And luckily, there were no other bullets sprayed into the crowd because nobody was really able to go anywhere. It was just like a big, open pavilion, amphitheater, outdoor venue.
You're still sitting like that. Oh.
What?
Who?
Is that out? Wait, what happened? Charlie, wait a minute, is this true?
Harvey and Charles, I found.
No. What happened?
There he is, right there.
Wait a minute, what happened? Is that him speaking?
And he just got
Charlie Kirk?
Watch this. I mean, does this look like he gets shot?
Wait,
yes,
it does.
Okay, come on, let's...
Did Charlie Kirk get shot?
Start writing the story.
Mark's writing. Hey, Jamie, one paragraph up.
Wait, is it...
Where is this?
Where
was it?
Utah.
Call the university right now. Can you call the police department?
Police.
Find out what police. Karumi, and all you guys, find out what police department handles this area.
He always has security right there sitting next to Utah. What?
Was this in Utah?
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's writing?
Jamie, who's writing?
Mark's writing.
It's definitely upper body.
Dude, TMZ is too funny. TMZ knows every single news before it even happens. Someone could be about to get shot and it's already on TMZ. Like, they're not even dead yet. It's just on TMZ. It's crazy. And now we're gonna see a video of this ex-police officer, I think it is, talking about how some dude got shot in his neck and he survived.
It's a doctor of 25 years. I admit there are times patients survive unsurvivable injuries. Take this case, 27-year-old, victim of an AK-47 injury at a fairly short distance, and it ended up sitting right between the carotid artery and jugular vein. But it didn't injure any vascular structures. It didn't injure the esophagus or trachea or the spine, nothing. Basically took an injury to the mandible, did have a fracture of the jaw, and ricocheted and just ended up in such a special, specific, particular part without causing major injury. Given its proximity to the arteries, it was removed. But how in the world do you explain how this should have been a terrible thing? This should have been an awful outcome, and patient survives and has no major injuries. Everything was able to be treated. How do you explain this?
I'm dead. I said an ex-police officer. Dude was a doctor.
Once you see this, there's no going back. This is YouTuber named Boots Made for Crushing, who created a YouTube channel of him stomping on things and watching them break. This wasn't your so-called normal crushing video. This was something that genuinely he had a fetish for. So much in fact that he started a second channel to do even more crushing, infamously known as Boots666. On this new channel, he would create videos and post them of him stomping animals to death. This next part is extremely controversial because he was never banned. People started reaching out to YouTube to get this guy's channel taken down, and the only thing YouTube did was issue a strike, and then 4 months later he was able to post again. The next uploads that came after this were him crushing anything from frogs to large insects to snails. YouTube has never came out and publicly said anything about this guy's channel, but his videos are up to this day. People speculate the reason he was never taken down is because he was posting these videos as unlisted. If you're unfamiliar with how unlisted videos work, basically the only way you're able to actually view the video is if you were given the link itself. So he would use his Tumblr platform to post the video so people could directly access it. What are your thoughts on this? And make sure to like and follow for more true crime stories tomorrow.
A 32-year-old United States Army soldier was stationed in Hawaii for training. This was his first time ever being in Hawaii, and so on his first day off, he planned to do some sightseeing. After doing some research, he settled on the Hawaii Volcano National Park that's home to one of the world's most active volcanoes, the Kilauea, that has been erupting consistently almost every year since 1983. On the evening of Wednesday, May 1st, he hopped in his rental car and he made his way out to the park. When he got there, he was pleasantly surprised to see that it was not crowded in the least, most likely because he was there midweek. And so he paid his entrance fee, and then he started walking up a trail that would bring him up to this overlook that overlooked the caldera. The caldera of a volcano is the actual crater, the inside of the volcano where the actual lava comes out of. At the time John was at the park, the volcano was not actively erupting, and so there was no pool of lava inside of the caldera. Now, he was up against a safety railing that prevented people from getting closer, but he figured if he could just get right to the edge of this crater and he could actually look down inside, he might be able to see all the way to the base of the caldera. And so he looked around and noticed there were no other tourists up there with him, and he stepped over the safety railing and walked right to the edge of this crater overlooking this caldera. And so he got his phone out and he started taking some pictures, and then all of a sudden the ground underneath him began to shift, and it shifted so quickly and so suddenly that threw him onto his back. And as he's laying on his back scrambling to get back up again, the ground underneath him just completely collapses, sending him careening down 300 feet into the scalding hot caldera. And immediately first responders were on scene, but they were facing the same issue that John was, which is the steam was so intense inside of this volcano that you can't really see down into it. And so they had rescuers walking along the rim of the volcano, and they had helicopters in the air, but it really wasn't doing any good. And in the back of all rescuers' minds, they knew that realistically, there's just no way John could have survived this. I mean, you can't survive a 300-foot fall, but even if you did, you couldn't survive being at the surface of the caldera that's over 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. 2 hours into their search, when it was totally dark outside and hope was just about gone at this point, somebody spotted John on a little ledge jutting out 70 feet down from that cliff he was standing on. When he fell, when the ground dissolved underneath him, he managed to land on this tiny little ledge. But he was so badly injured he couldn't climb back up again. However, rescuers were able to rappel down to him, put him in a harness, get him back up, and he was able to make a full recovery.
So this guy is about to make millions of dollars, not by robbing a bank, but by stealing pancake syrup. Now, the guy's name is Richard, and Richard's about 33 when this story starts, living in Canada, and he's the kind of guy who's just a shady dude. Bro sells maple syrup on the black market. I didn't even know there was a black market for that, but apparently there is one, and Richard sells it on the black market to distributors, and eventually he gets busted and he's forced to pay a $1.8 million fine, and they end up seizing his house because of it. Because apparently Canadians take their maple syrup super seriously. Anyway, this pisses Richard off, and he's all salty about getting busted for years. And he starts wanting revenge on the organization that got him busted, the Federation of Quebec Maple Syrup Producers, which is a government-sanctioned entity that regulates the production of syrup. Why does that exist? And so Richard comes up with a plan to rip them off and make himself very rich in the process. He's gonna steal a bunch of maple syrup from them, like millions of dollars worth. And so fast forward to 2011, and Richard is still trying to carry out this plan. And he partners up with this guy, Avik. And so together, Richard and Avik rent out a part of a warehouse, and they open up a small business there. Because in another part of this warehouse, next to their business, are a bunch of maple syrup reserves where they keep thousands of barrels of syrup. And the place kind of looks like this. There's just a bunch of white barrels in a warehouse. And so Richard and Avik's plan is to have Avik steal thousands of these barrels of reserved maple syrup, and then Richard will buy the barrels from Avik and resell them to distributors. And if you're like, Ray, why are they stealing maple syrup? That's just stupid. Just like steal money or something. I know, but keep in mind, maple syrup is actually worth a lot of money. During this time in 2011, a barrel of syrup is worth about 12 times more than a barrel of crude oil. So this has value. Anyway, so they're all ready for this heist. And I guess one day, once the warehouse is closed for the day, they enter the area where they keep the maple syrup reserves. And this is a whole operation. Like, they use forklifts and they load a bunch of barrels of syrup onto a trailer, and then they haul the load out to a remote shack and they siphon all the syrup out of those barrels and into new barrels. Then they fill the old barrels up with water and they put them back in the warehouse so that it looks like nothing was ever stolen, as long as, no one opens up one of the barrels. And they don't do all this in one night. They do like a few barrels at a time here and there over a long period of time so that the heist isn't so obvious. However, the problem is this process is very slow and it takes a lot of time and effort. And so Richard comes up with a slightly better plan. And they start doing the siphoning at the actual warehouse, and instead of using new barrels, they just use a big tanker truck. And then they fill the barrels up with water after they empty them, but later they get lazy and they don't replace the syrup with water at all. They don't fill the barrels up with anything, they just leave them empty. And that will become an issue later. So anyway, they keep doing this over and over and over again. And by 2012, they've stolen 9,500 barrels of maple syrup from this place, which is worth more than 18 million Canadian dollars, which at the time was worth about 18 million US dollars. So what do they do with all this syrup? Well, they haul it over to a different province and they divide it up and they sell it to syrup distributors. I guess syrup distributors are like, cheap syrup. All right. And as absurd as this sounds, Richard and Avik's operation is so smooth that they just keep getting away with it. Until... So thus far, I've only talked about Richard and Avik. But it's not just these two guys. There are actually like 25 people involved in this scheme, including some warehouse workers, warehouse security guard, and some other people who help sell it on the black market, people like that. But let's just focus on Richard and Avik because they're the most guilty. Now, at some point in 2012, it's time for the maple syrup reserve to get an inspection. It's the inspection they do every year. It's basically like an audit of their inventory. And Richard knows this audit is coming, and he's like, oh shit, they're gonna check the barrels and they're gonna know the syrup is missing. And they have to scramble and like clean up any evidence in the warehouse, and they stack all the barrels back exactly the way they were stacked before. And Avik, he's like hitting up some of their co-conspirators, and he's like threatening them, saying if they talk to police, he's gonna shoot them in the head over fucking pancake syrup. Anyway, so inspection day comes, and the inspector shows up to the warehouse, and he starts the audit. And he's looking around the place, and everything looks normal to him, and he starts climbing on top of a stack of the barrels to get a better look. And because these things weigh like 600 pounds each, they're obviously not gonna fall over. Except that when the inspector walks on top of one of them, suddenly, boom, a barrel nearly falls over and he has to catch himself. And he's like, what the f***? And he gets down and he knocks on the barrel and it sounds hollow. And so he opens it and he looks inside and he sees that it's completely empty. But he doesn't immediately assume it's theft, like that would be ridiculous. He's probably like, oh, they forgot to fill that barrel or whatever. But then he opens another one, and then he opens another one, and they're all empty. Then he finds a bunch of them had rusted, and he opens those up, and he sees that they had rusted because they had been filled with water. And he's like, oh, I think someone's stealing your syrup. And so he calls the Federation of Quebec Maple Syrup Producers, and he tells them what he found. And they're like, empty barrels? Oh-ho-ho. And they come and they do an emergency count of the whole place, and they find that 9,500 barrels are missing, which is like 12.5% of their entire reserve. And this is such a big deal that they bring in the Canadian police, who I assume are on horseback because, you know, they're probably not, but I just like to imagine that. So anyway, the Canadian police, they show up and they search the whole facility. But they don't really find much. And they don't have a lot to work with because the place doesn't have security cameras, because who the hell would steal syrup? I guess Richard and Avik would, that's who. Now, during the police's investigation, they start thinking, you know, this might have been an inside job. So they start looking at people who would have had access to the property, aka Richard. And so they go and they question him. And he's like, I don't know anything about that, eh? But he's not the only person police question. They bring in everyone connected to the warehouse. Employees, owners, contractors, along with other people who are just affiliated with the maple syrup black market. Which again, I can't believe there's an actual black market for fucking maple syrup. Anyway, over the next several months, police spend a lot of time tracking down all the stolen syrup that was sold to other people. And they find a bunch of it, but, you know, they can't recover all of it because it's food. Distributors sold it to people and, you know, people ate it. But eventually, they find the source as Richard. And so, bam, they arrest him. Here's his mugshot. Also, bam, they arrest Avik. Here's his mugshot. And, you know, it's not just these two. They arrest the other 25 other people involved in this scheme, and a bunch of them get sentenced to prison. And Avik actually gets 5 years in prison, while Richard, he gets 8 years.
Most disturbing videos in the world, episode 6. This picture contains a list of disturbing videos from the least scary to the most. This will be my scariest series ever. Welcome to tier 7 because we skipped a couple of them. And honestly today, we're gonna skip directly to tier 10. The first video is titled Funky Town. This video single-handedly could be the worst video the internet has ever had. Now obviously I can't show the video here, but I can tell you everything you need to know about it. And please remember, don't look this up. Trust me. It shows a man, you know, getting executed, in which they remove the man's face all while he's still alive. And lots of other stuff start happening. And in the background of the video, the song Funky Town starts playing. You know this song? Yeah, that one. Make sure to like and follow because I start my brand new series tomorrow.
So Young Thug had a problem. His jail calls were released where he talking smack about everybody, and a recording of him was released where he's very friendly with police. Now, Young Thug goes on an interview, clears some things up. First of all, jail calls where he talking smack about everybody. He said, look, he was down bad, he was in jail, he thought he was never getting out, he was just letting out steam, mad at the whole world. He said, second, recording of him talking to the polices. He said he was trying to be slick, he was trying to throw them off, and he may have been overly friendly because he was trying to flirt with a specific officer. Now there's one more thing that Young Thug clears up, and that's his relationship with Gunna, why he's so upset at him. And boy, is this something, because according to Young Thug, during the YSL Rico trial, Gunna was the first person to take a plea deal going against their collective plan. Okay, listen closely. The feds wanted Young Thug, plain and simple. They brought in a bunch of folks from YSL and said, look, everybody just tell us YSL is a gang, not really a record label. Y'all all walk out of here. We just want him. Now, why the feds were doing this? Because RICO charges are notoriously very, very difficult to prove. Because it's simple. All the YSL members have to do is look at each other and say, no, YSL is just a record label. What are the feds gonna do? Nothing. So the lawyers look at each other and say, everybody keep it solid. YSL record label, YSL record label, YSL record label. Everybody say, yeah, Gunna said. And well, uh-oh, here's where things start to get wicked, because the feds have some tactics of their own. They said, look, nobody gotta say anything, but y'all are all gonna sit in jail until we figure this whole thing out. That could be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, we don't know, count them up. Gunna said 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, oh, I'm gone. And that's when Gunna decided to go against the plan. Gunna takes the plea, says YSL's the gang. All the lawyers begin to scramble, because now they gotta change their story. They gotta now say, well, some people may believe it's a gang, some people may not. Now they gotta start looking out for their own clients. Now they gotta start saying, just take the plea deal, take the plea deal. Gunna already said it's a gang, you might as well take the plea deal. 0 years. That's why Young Thug told his brother, you might as well take it. Gunna already opened the can of worms. Now, all that being said, RICO charges are still very, very difficult to prove. So Young Thug still had a chance to not go to jail. As you guys have seen, he beat the case and he didn't go to jail. But let's just say his chances were much, much, much more difficult after everyone came out and said YSL is a gang.
Yeah, I remember I talked about that in a video I made. I don't remember which video specifically. I think it's a video that's coming out tomorrow, so stay tuned for Friday's video, because today's Thursday. Today's 9/11. It's a sad day for America. I'd say it's mourning day, so. But yeah, Young Thug and Gunna, apparently they're like two brothers in the industry that's pretty much beefing right now because one told, and apparently something leaked that the other one told. It's crazy, bro. Some rap game stuff. But if you guys enjoyed this video, remember to like it and hype it up so it get pushed to more people. Appreciate y'all for watching.
Thank you all for watching.